Welcome to another edition of Courageous Conversations Live. I'm your host, Pierre Quinn, and this is a special conversation. I'm glad you're hanging out with us because you don't want to miss this one today. Joining me on Courageous Conversations to talk about the truth about assessments is Bryan Arzani. Bryan, thanks for being my guest today.
Pierre, thank you so much, man. It is an honor. It's a privilege.
So in this conversation, I know it's going to be power packed. I'm going to ask those of you who are watching right now to do a couple of things for me that are really important. Number one, I need you to check in with us in the comment section. I know you're watching on LinkedIn. I know you're watching on Facebook. I also know you're watching on YouTube. We love doing shout outs here on Courageous Conversations Live. So hop in the comment section. Let us know you're hanging out with us. The second thing, also super important, Bryan's going to drop so much insight and knowledge on our leaders, on our creatives, on our entrepreneurs today. And I don't want you to be selfish and keep it to yourself. So go ahead and hit that share button as we're having this conversation. And I guarantee you that it's going to be 1000% worth it. All right. So Bryan, as we're getting started, give us the snapshot, sort of that Cliff Notes version of who you are and what you do.
I'll tell you what, Pierre, at this point, co-founder, vice president of Results Group. We've had our own practice for 15 years, going on 16 years now. I'm also the president of Intermetrix North America, which is really, we're a creator, and we take assessments from paper and pencil and put them online, psychometric, creation of instruments and tools. I've moved from being the practitioner starting back in 2000. Hey, Deborah, how you doing? Hey, good to see you. We moved from being a practitioner from 2000 to 2005 to actually being the one who to now, I'm humbled and completely, I'm very sincerely humble. That's why I kind of laugh when you're like, Bryan's going to drop 1000%, truth. I'm humbled by this, but Malcolm Gladwell talks about his 10,000 hours, you can become best in the world. I hit my 2,000 hours with psychometric instruments, working with hands-on clients and customers around 2006. So now I've got the honor, the privilege, and the responsibility to certify anyone who wants access to Intermetrics instruments. It's up Antonio in North America. So I had an opportunity to work with you and literally, a couple thousand other, solopreneurs, entrepreneurs, human resource professionals. That's our deal, man. That's where we're at right now. And we're continuing to grow this steamroller of instrumentation that takes subjective things called human talent and puts objectivity around it in multi-dimensional facets versus just being a single instrument and tool.
I'm so excited about this conversation, and thank you, Deborah and Antonio, for checking in with us. I'm certified DISC a facilitator through another organization that had partnered with what you do at the Results Group and Intermetrics, and then going through the Advanced Insight certification with you, literally just over the course of the 2 days that we spent together and you coaching that group of leaders. It just blew my mind with what's available and what's out there. And I want to demystify some of this conversation around assessments and how some people kind of think of the things as hokey or not truthful, or those things don't really work. But because I know you want to get into that.
Let me tell you, man, when I worked for GE Capital in the 90s, man, I went to those retreats where they had us take those profiles and we'd put us in different parts of the room. And I was the dude in the room making fun of the facilitator, thinking, man, you must have really sucked in life because you ended up doing this. Because this is so I get it. And that's why I'm so humble, because I never thought I would ever do this, right? Mm-hmm. This is not something I dreamed about. I was accidentally drawn into it. So I love the more skeptical, the better we're going to get along,
So dial it back. You said that you never saw yourself doing this. You worked for GE Capital. You would make fun of the people that would come in and do these assessments and workshops. How did you stumble upon or happen upon or end up? Because I've been, watching videos of you. You would do these training videos, like 10 minutes, and it was like, yeah, go sell some stuff, go make it happen. I used to watch those on YouTube. So how did you happen to start in this area of work?
Man, I tell you what, it's a Cinderella kind of story, really. My dad was in the military. My mom cut hair. I grew up in a very lower class. After I got out of the military, could only get a job at a factory, get laid off. We cut wood, we sold wood, we made casserole because casserole would last 3, 4, 5 days, and you can add enough rice and like milk into it to make it go a long ways. So, I never looked at education in school as something that was a vehicle. I looked at something I had to do. So I never really knew what I wanted to do when I grew up. I just felt like Scuffy the tugboat. I was meant for bigger things, didn't know what it was. Got a break, got an opportunity to go work at GE, learned some pretty cool things. And then I got into the technology world, made a lot of money probably before I was ready to make it in the 90s. And so then I helped the guys start a consulting practice. And what I realized is that I wasn't as good as I thought I was. And so then I went back to school and started learning about what was holding me back. And as I got more in depth with these, I started learning about different instruments that could teach me, how I was being received and why I got the results I was getting. And then what we started to do was bring those into our practice. But I was just the sales guy, man. I was the sales and marketing guy. I sold a huge project to a large organization in North America. And they told the consultants at the company, they said, you know what? We don't want you all to do it. We want Bryan to do it. And they're like, oh, no, Bryan's the Cinderella. He just sweeps the floor in the background. He doesn't do the work. And they're like, well, if he doesn't do it, then we're not going to do it. And so long story short, I had to get really good, really quick, and bother a lot of very intelligent people to help put together. Literally, we combined like 4 different psychologies at that time together to put together a roadmap where we co-authored with each individual employee, around 1,200 of them, their career plan, succession planning, et cetera, et cetera. And you know what? It was crazy. I think I drank every Red Bull within the zip code of Des Moines, and I gained about 45, 50 pounds in that year. But man, it was the best. And I had 4 kids at the time and a beautiful wife who stuck with me because I wasn't getting a salary. I had no benefits. I had no nothing. And GE, you had all those things. So the furnace of affliction, brother, I'm telling you, it was legit. So 2005, I kind of said, you know what? I want to head down a different path. And so I didn't take any clients. I didn't take that client with me. Started from scratch all over again. Called all the people that knew me and said, hey, introduce me to people that that would appreciate how I do what I do. And that was the key. It was how I did what I did. And so that's how I got started. Really, in 2005, September, literally broke ground again in a fresh new field that had never been plowed, with some people that knew me and introduced me because of the trust and service that I provided.
Can you talk a little bit about that piece of entrepreneurship? Because in the digital age that we live in right now, everybody is on YouTube, everybody's on Instagram, everyone has a website built talking about how they're a consultant or a coach or some sort of professional development training provider. But a lot of people won't do what you just said in terms of, I literally called people on the phone and said, hey, introduce me to people how I do what I do. Without giving too much away of the assessments and the profiles, what keeps us back? What makes us so excited to put up our sign that we're open for business, but apprehensive about like calling people and saying, come buy from me?
Man, here's the thing. The most difficult thing in the world is getting belly to belly, flesh to flesh with humans who are going to say no to us. Right. Yeah. And that's the thing that holds, because here's the thing, you got 2 hearts in your soul. One is I want to give and I want to build and I want to love and help. And the other one is to get that opportunity. I got to go out and I got to hunt something and I got to kill it. Right. And so to have those two masters, right, pulling on us is crazy. And so what prevents it is a lot of times we go to the path of least resistance, which is I'm going to build a sweet, awesome billboard and put all this cool stuff up there, sexy and then we go, man, they're going to buy, they're going to come and they're going to see. And here's what I'll tell you right now. When I started, okay, I was told by somebody who was influencing me that no one will ever do business with you, Bryan. I said, why is that? He said, because no one will ever do business whose cell phone is their business line and their closet is their office. And I said, come on now, right? And you know what? That gentleman's out of business. Wow. Right? He's out of business now because I didn't need anything sexy. I did not any that. All I needed was just this undeniable drive. God, I tell you what, you just and here's the thing. I hate no, I hate rejection. Because see, if I genuinely love people, then here's the thing. I don't want to hear no. And it's a hard thing. And so, but gaining that self-awareness, gaining that thing inside you that says, I know. So when I got started, I didn't start with a website, right? I didn't start with business cards. I just started with a credit card because I was 45 days from bankruptcy when I started Results Group. I'm not lying. I didn't come from money. I don't gotta, and I'm not saying to like say I'm not looking for a sob story. I'm not looking for, oh, it was amazing. I'm just telling you, it sucks.
Yeah.
Being an entrepreneur is brutality.
Yeah.
You know, I always looked around and thought, man, that guy made it, or that gal made it because she was already rich, or they already had it, or they had a connection, right? And I can tell you twice we built it from scratch, and it's grinding. The most calls I ever made in one day was 183 calls in one day just to get a president or a CEO that would meet with me. Typically I'd make, you know, between 50 and 95 calls a day, just grinding it. And what I realized was every time I hit an obstacle, I realized, man, I suck right there. And I'm going to figure out how to get good at that. And then when I got good at that, I'll never forget the first time I ever got a president on the phone. I was so blown away that I got past the secretary and got past all the people that keep me from the president. I got to the president and I'm like, hello, this is so-and-so. And I'm like, and I hung up on myself. I'm like, I didn't think I'd get through. Right. So yeah. It's tough, man. It's anybody that says it's easy has never done it. Okay. Yeah. Never done it. I'm just telling you right now, if someone says it's easy, it's hard.
Yeah. Love it. Love the insight, the practicality of it. Deborah says it takes courage to contact someone and talk to them. And you know, a lot of the young leaders and entrepreneurs, I talk to so many people who have a skill set in a particular industry and they have been successful, and they say, hey, Pierre, I want to do what you do. And I say, are you sure?
Yeah.
Because it's not pretty. I mean, you see the 10%, right? We see you giving the presentation. We see you doing the training. We see you training the trainers, and that's the glamorous, attractive part. But we don't see 183 calls.
Right. And I used to call it getting my nose kicked, getting my nose out of the way, because I feel like someone's grabbing my ears and they're kneeing me in the face all day. And thank goodness my wife's 25 years of married, man. Thank goodness, because I'm getting uglier the older I get, and it's because I get kicked in the nose so much. But you're right, Pierre, man. You know, you just said it, because I know that you know, because you said it. Nobody sees all that thing, right? They can't sit alongside you today and go, hey, I want to follow you, I want to shadow you for a day to see what you do, because I want to be you. They got to see the ugly, right? They got to see. I mean, dude, I'm telling you, there was a time I was sitting on the floor, and my knees my knees were up, and I was crying, going, dude, I got to go home and tell my wife and my 4 kids, you know what? Christmas is going to suck this year, right? I mean, it is, man. It's just, but something's got to be in your gut. And so what I learned to do is I learned to say everything I wanted to say in the form of a question, because people are good at spouting fancy one-liners, but questions ignite curiosity, and they create they create a desire to want to go, I think there's a reason why I want to get to know you. And so that was my evolution from being a promoter, because I'm the promoter on stage, I will talk. But when I'm in sales mode, it's a different hat, right? And I'm saying everything I want to say in the form of a question, right? Is it that you're poor at picking the right people, or you poor at developing the right people? You tell me, right? That's a powerful question. Mm-hmm. And they go, whoa, that just hit me in the gut. And what do you know that I need to know? And then I got to shut my mouth and go, maybe you should invite me in, right? Yeah. Now, I didn't know that. I learned that after several thousand people going, yeah, Bryan, you sound like every other commercial on the stupid planet. And by the way, your voice sounds kind of feminine. I don't know if you even, I don't have a cool radio voice, right? I'm not 6 foot tall. I'm short. I was kind of pudgy, they're like, not much about you is attractive. So, I had to sound someone that they wanted to get to know.
So you said the things unlocked for you when you started really digging into, who you are and how you're wired and how to apply. And then, the other side of the DISC question, because I get this a lot, Bryan, when I talk to people who maybe have gone online, maybe taken a DISC assessment, or, the particular trainer facilitator wasn't that good. And they say, yeah, I've taken DISC and I know all about it. I'm good on that. And then I ask them, how have you leveraged it to be better where you live, work, and play? How have you leveraged it to be better with your team and in your relationships? How have you leveraged it to better understand the people around you? And you already know this, 99% of people say, I haven't.
Right.
That's why we need to talk.
Well, and check this out, Pierre. So I'm going to take that right there. I'm going to take that right there. So when someone says, yeah, I've done it, right, and I've been through it, which means they're saying, nah, it was okay.
Yeah.
Here's where I go. I go to the same place I'd go if I was going to do marriage counseling.
Okay.
Here's where we go. What was the reason that you got married to be? Why'd you start dating? What was that thing that attracted you? Just here's the question.
Yeah.
What was the reason you originally took the instrument, right? And what were you hoping to learn? I got to go back to that, right? And then I got to sit there and go, did you get that? And they're going to go, not really. So let me ask you this. Do you still want to know? Do you still have that desire to get that felt need of whatever it is? Better communication, better understanding, better self-awareness, better blah, 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 right? Yes, I do. Okay. And here's what I tell people. Man, the blessing is instruments are everywhere. You can get them for free, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I can go to the hardware store and pick up all kinds of stuff. There's a, you talk about like, the hand and the instrument and the hand of the master, right? It's the hand, right? And that's what brings me joy. And I know I'm bouncing, dude. We start talking, you're gonna have to rein me in. But that's my joy, is giving entrepreneurs and consultants the gift of 20 years of just earning the right to pay for my mistakes, to tell them how to get around and use that instrument masterfully with, whether it's a preacher, a kid at risk, a parent, a husband, a wife, a business leader, a president, a salesperson, a customer service, IT, whatever it is, right? Teach that solopreneur, entrepreneur how to do it so they can make less mistakes faster, so that they can become proficient at the application of the data. That's the key, right? That's the key.
Okay, so break it down for us, man. You talked about combining these different assessments together, and the Voltron, Mighty Morphin, Power Rangers, Megazord. Like when you put the package together of what you do with Results Group and Intermetrics, kind of walk us through what those assessments are and the application of those.
So everybody knows the phrase DISC, right? DISC is the most prolifically used, been around since the 20s. Here's what I learned. The more I learned about DISC, the more I'm like, dude, that instrument is not all that, right? That's honestly what, because what I was doing when I first started using it, I was doing headhunting and recruiting and and that kind of stuff. I'm like, dude, this thing is not that, because I'd see people who scored a certain way, and then they wouldn't deliver. And I'm like, there's got to be more. That caused me to go deeper. You go deeper, you get in, because DISC is the how. You get into the motivators and the values, the passions, the attitudes, the interests, and that gets into the why. So I could have someone that scores like on a DISC, maybe they look very calm and quiet and reserved, but I see this ignited, courageous, champion, right? And she's out there just carrying the flag. And I'm like, where'd that come from, right? Where'd that come from? Well, it came from her attitudes and her passions. Well, DISC doesn't measure passion, right? There are people that try to say it does. It does not. It only tells me the how you tend or prefer. And then you get into the why. And I go, oh, that's what ignites you, right? And you turn on fire and you do things that are crazy and you're drawn to. But then I started seeing people like, okay, this is cool. But then I'm like, oh, but there's still a gap, which drove me to go deeper. And then I started getting into the attributes, which got it. And that's actually a more recent psychology. We're talking like 70s, right? 1970s. The research came out of the Holocaust, where we got into like, okay, so if maybe you on the outside are very gregarious, outgoing, but deep down, you don't like people. How do I measure that? Or maybe I got someone who scores high in that decisive category. Oh, that person should be great at solving problems, but they're the ones that keep sticking their hands through window or their fingers in light sockets. Like, dude, where's the common sense in that hoofty? What's this problem, right? So I started thinking, man, if we could measure deeper, like the common sense, are you a strategist? So that's where we got into that deeper level stuff. And then we started looking at, that's the what, in what order you think, prioritize thought, that kind of stuff. So that drove me to start just continuing to ask questions like an X-ray, a CAT scan, an MRI. If a doctor could get all of that data before they prescribe, we'd have less malpractice. But who prevents them? Insurance, right? Insurance says we ain't going to pay for that because you got to justify it. What if we gave open access to our consultants that said, dude, you have access to all these instruments to figure out, because here's the deal, prescription without diagnosis is malpractice. And now we're putting practitioners out there now, right? Practitioners out there now that have the ability with acute accuracy to figure out the deficiency, not the weakness, the deficiency, to help them self-acclimate and work around it. Now it sounds easier said than done, but I'm telling you, man, I made a lot of mistakes. If I was talking to you 10, 12, 13 years ago, I'd be seeing a lot of stuff that wasn't true. Today, I'm starting to figure it out, right? Starting to figure it out.
So give us an example of, and I know you had tons of stories, especially when you're taking us through the advanced training of maybe working with a client organization. They were skeptical, oh, okay, fine, we're going to do this. We have budget, whatever. We need to fill a time. We need to fill a training schedule. And then on the other side, they were like, listen, wow, I did, tears and laughs and cartwheels. You could see all that from those numbers. Give us one of those stories.
So here's the deal. I had an insurance company, and here's the thing: officers and executives like, oh, we're all good. It's for our people, right? That kind of crap. And I'm like, dude, come on now. If you don't want to go through it, then I'm not doing it with you. So what I would tell the executives, like, here's the deal. I need all you to go through it, right? Because here's the deal. You're going to tell me your people need it, but what if it's you? What if it's you that's got the deficiency, right? Yeah. And so I had this opportunity to go through this insurance company, and I told them this. I said, hey, it's part of me building the proposal to do the work that I'm going to do. And then out of that, I would go in and go beep, bop, bop, and I talk about a few things, and they're like, and then all of a sudden they're liable. One of them said, whoa. And then I said, here's the deal. Rather than me doing an event for you, give me your biggest problem. And if I can't fix that in a month, then you don't even want to hire me to come in front of your people. Because here's what I know about assessments. Don't have people come in and do assessment work. If you've already got an assessment in your organization, you have a common vocabulary that teaches people about people. Yeah. And if you bring me in, I'm going to give them a different vocabulary. It might be sexy and cool because it's the Kool-Aid flavor of the month, but I'm going to confuse your people. And so leave alone what you're doing. Predictive index, rock and roll. God bless predictive index. You're doing this, you're doing that. Do it. Myers-Briggs, it's awesome, right? Because here's the deal. All assessments work for what they were designed to do. I'm just a big fan of getting to root cause. And if you got one instrument, you're not at root cause. All you are at surface stuff. So you're trying to treat staph infection with some bacitracin, right? Some neosporin. If you got to get to the root, you got to get to the root. So the example that you asked about, I said, give me your biggest problem. They said, well, we got this officer over underwriting, right? And we got complacency, we got mediocrity, ... Looked at the instrument. On the outside, dude looks strong. Deep down, super soft heart, just butter. Dude's butter. Can't make an accountability conversation happen to save his life. Yeah. And I said, so what do y'all do? They said, well, we hired and this is before I even did a speaking event. I said, I need to know the officers. And they said, well, we hired a lady, didn't really tell her, but she's kind of the pseudo officer. I'm like, oh, so she's the hammer, he's the butter. That's a great plan. People started working around it. I said, I can't go talk to the underwriting group. I said, you got dysfunction at the top of this thing. They're like, what are you going to do about it? I said, I'm going to engineer epiphany in the officer to have him take early retirement. Would you offer that to him? Oh God, we just begged to have that. I said, rock and roll. So before we even did our first gig, we'd already figured out their biggest problem was, and they just thought, man, this guy's been with us for 33 years. He's earned the right to be there, man. You know what? It was, come on now, it's just stupid. And so that was the beginning of a 7-year-long relationship. Wow. Because they kick the can down the road. I've worked with school districts where they promote people into their incompetence. Peter Drucker talked about it, but he never showed you how to define it. Mm-hmm. And that's what the deeper level instruments help you figure out. Sharon's making me feel good. She keeps like throwing this stuff out. Take it, Sharon, run it, man. I'm telling you, with everything I give you, and Pierre, I'll tell you, I'll never feel like I give too much. I know it's like I don't give enough. So please.
So one of the things when we're looking at assessments is we get into the comparison trap, right?
Oh, yes.
Like, oh, I want to be like this, and I want to be like this, and I want to be like that, and his scores or her scores or whatever. You told me in training like this crazy story about your brother that it blew all of us away because it really turned on its ear this perception that there's a stellar or optimal score versus optimizing what your values are. Can you break that down for us?
Yeah, man, you have such a good way of putting things in like phrases and words. I love it. Okay. So, and first thing I'll tell you, let me just say this real quick. When I worked for GE and I took the profiles, I didn't have the good profile. Right? They're like, oh, all high D's. I wasn't that. So the next time I took it, my tendency was to change my scores so that I could get what the facilitator said was the good scoring. Okay. Mm-hmm. You know, and I'm telling you, if you got people that are, if you are saying this is good, this is bad, then you are doing malpractice. You are doing people wrong. Because God created everybody to be perfectly designed to be who they are. They spent their entire life doing it. The worst thing you could do is to say, you're broke, right? You're broke. And I was that. I went through that. I spent 4 years spending energy trying to be what I wasn't, thinking I needed to fix myself. And what I needed to do was find a role that would feed the talent, maybe the talent or two. I look at a couple, but I'm serious.
Yeah,
But they
yeah.
would feed me, right? But my little brother, so for example, I'm super sensitive, and I got all this. My little brother is severely dyslexic. We're talking D average. He got a 14 in his ACT, was voted most likely to probably end up like dealing drugs or something, because the kid was talented with people, but just book, not smart. He wasn't in special education, but he was able to function. But my brother, I mean, I thought he was normal, and he was normal, but not based on the way education looked at him. Okay. So he gets out, and I helped him find, I had to take all the profiles, all we've got, right? I'm like, dude, you are a sales strategist. And he's like, oh no, I'm an assistant to this guy and I'm making 20 grand a year. I'm going to fast forward this thing real quick. But my little brother is literally this last year, he just hit 7 figures in sales, outside sales. and he's in a very simple business called packaging. Okay. And it humbles me, because honestly, this is the kid who everybody was like, yeah, he's cool, but he's not going to make it. And you know what? He's humble. He's a grinder. But he has, I mean, in all 3 of these instruments, in fact, I'm getting ready to start working with a new client that does that same type of business. It's interesting. The owner has the exact same profile my little brother does. And I said, every time I find this, now it's not in one of them, it's in all 3, and it's all congruent. But I said, did you get labeled this in high school? He's like, oh yeah, man. Oh yeah. And I said, and this is how the teacher can look at you. Oh yeah. Yep. And I said, how'd you find this? He goes, totally by accident. And so, yeah, but my little brother, I mean, and this is 18 years. He's been grinding in this business, 18 years, and everything. And what I do is I continue to help put people around him to complement his blind spots, so he doesn't get exposed to his blind spot, which will become catastrophic. But my little brother has an ability to see the big picture, to not address the problem and address all the cause and effects that contributed to it, and then look at the solution, and then look at the people. He's ridiculously motivated to win. But you know what's crazy is he's got a value system that he gained from our home and how we grew up. My mom would bring in transients. We had people, I grew up in a house where my mom literally would adopt people. We had several people that lived in our home. Okay. So what's crazy is this. I literally went to my bathroom one time, and there was a lady laying on the floor. I'm like, what the heck? It was a nun who had kind of gone transient, and my mom was a beautician, and so people would always bring, we call them stray cats, but just people who were transient. Mm-hmm. And we had people in our home all the time growing up. So we learned at our home to help people, right? But my little brother's not wired to help. I mean, my brother's wired to just kill, but he gained that value in our home to help. And so that complements that little bit of a thing that he's got going on. Plus, he's a ridiculously aggressive guy. And we've built an entire structure around him that allows him to be wildly successful. So I'm humbled and honored to see his success. Yeah. But we've literally built an environment that complements who he is. And it's just, it's awesome. It's a cool story.
We got people listening who are super intrigued by what you've been sharing. And they're like, okay, what is Bryan selling? And can I buy 2 of them? Because I want a couple. So
you call Pierre. Pierre will hook you up. I'm the guy that just supplies to Pierre.
Yeah. So if people are thinking, okay, so I'm interested. You got me intrigued. We run across a lot of people in our work who like me have that first level, but they need to go deeper. As we talk about training and certification and going deeper, what does that look like through your organization?
Yeah, so Intermetrics is the instrument that creates, it's the organization, it's the consulting practice that creates the instruments. Results Group is the master distributor for North America that teaches, supports, and educates. And because I have real world practical application, I'm not living in a bubble. And so what it is if there's a consultant or an entrepreneur out there that says, you know what, I want to add these instruments into my organization, give me a holler. We'll talk about how it might fit, right? And which instruments might fit. I don't tell people, hey, take them all. I call it crawl, walk, run. Take one, figure out how to justify the investment, right, and the energy, and then you Lego build on top of that to where now you've got this just enterprise that can multifaceted address the market's needs. If it's a business owner, an executive, whatever, we will talk to them, and then we'll get them in position with the consultant that has the right background to support them. I mean, we've got people all over North America. We've got industrial psychologists. We've got people that work just specifically with houses of faith. We've got folks that work with not-for-profits. We got folks that work with inner city. We got folks that work with businesses that do strategic planning, those that do sales, those that do customer service. So we've got consultants all over North America that have all these different skill sets. And as we talk with these business leaders, we can evaluate kind of what they're looking for, and then we make the recommendation. And I mean, Pierre's an amazing advocate, and he carries the flag. And here's the deal: Pierre has the right core value, right? And I'm not trying to promote you. I'm just telling you, because we have folks that come to us and say, "Hey, I want to become certified. I want access to your tools." And there are people that we say no to, because if they just want to get it and flip it, no, that's not what it is. We've actually fired some big name consultants out there because they had the wrong values, the wrong morals. And you may say, well, I don't believe you. I'm telling you, it is what it is. I mean, so if you can gain the right set of values and how to apply the data and make it objective for people and engineer those epiphanies and be that go-giver. There's a book out there like that, that talks about that stuff. But man, I can talk too much, man. I'm shutting up. Go ahead.
No. So as you've, I know we're coming down to the end of our conversation. I took you for a little bit longer. I mean, we knew this was going to happen. Looking at our profiles, we knew this was going to happen, right? So as you have shifted primarily from the practitioner to the coach of coaches, the facilitator, the leader of leaders, what joy have you found in this section of the work that similarly grabbed you as when you were a practitioner? Like, what keeps you activated and supercharged to do this next level of work the same way you were on fire to be the hands-on practitioner?
Yeah, I mean, I tell you, when I first got my first big leap, it wasn't because I helped a business. It was because I helped a business leader's son who was in his 4th year as a sophomore in college. And I changed that kid's life with the instruments. And then that business owner was like, dude, if you did that for my kid, because I'm always looking for kids, man. I love at-risk kids. I volunteer. 50% of my time is doing things that are philanthropic to help change the cycle of dysfunction in teenage kids that, so where I get joy is now not just doing the work. I still do the work, but it's now giving that knowledge to, hundreds and hundreds of consultants that can do the same thing. That's what's such a common theme among the really good ones. They know how to do the business, but they also know how to give back to the communities, to the families. I mean, I think this country, the family is under a constant warfare of destruction. And if we can help a couple, right? And I've done work same sex. I mean, I've done work with husbands. I've done work with wives, because there's not many people out there that understand the dynamics of what they deal with. Most folks that do same sex counseling have been taught by heterosexual, counselors. And I'm not saying but I look at data and I provide options. But if you can help a couple, husband and wife, whatever it is, be better and help engineer an epiphany in that child to put a productive citizen into society, man, that's making a difference. Or if you can take a team. So what I love to see is the successes, and I love to figure out how to do it. And it's not about faster, it's about right. And every person I meet is a new experience. No matter what the profile says, I take a shower and I wipe all of my perceptions of what we're going to talk about. And I go into that and I want to figure out what's their paradigm, where'd they come from, what they've been through. And then we'll talk about data off the profile. So where am I at, Pierre?
Yeah.
It's about creating something that's way bigger than any one of us or any instrument could ever be, and doing it on a worldwide scale. I mean, we're all over the world now. We're UK, South America, we're in India, we're in Amsterdam, we're in the, South Africa. We're all over the world now, Mexico. And just, I think the world is thirsty. It's starving for knowledge about themselves, to know thyself, right? Set me free so that I don't feel captive to this thing that's been told to me that I'm broke or that I need to fix myself. So it's a very abstract answer, Pierre, but that fills me with joy, man. To see you go through what you went through with our certification and take it and just, man, that gives me joy. That gives me joy. I could go out and work with clients nonstop myself. It doesn't bring me joy. And I'll tell you right now, I mean, it's not about the money. And like I said, it didn't come from money. It isn't about the money. Money takes care of itself if you really truly have dialed into something that can feed you. But it's about earning the right to be there. You can't go faster than your situation can carry you. So you got to embrace the suck for a while. And maybe you do 50-50, 25-75 until you're fully there. I mean, I'm not a big fan of borrow. I mean, the key to being an entrepreneur is find the thing that you can justify the investment before you actually sell it, right?
Yeah.
There's many times early on, I mean, I knew this was going to cost me an extra $100 a month. I'm like, okay, who can I sell something to that's going to pay me $100? I'll go out and buy that thing. Versus those that just go, boom, I got a credit card, boom. You know, I mean, I'm telling you, man, being 45 days from bankruptcy is a very powerful, that's the best education I ever got.
Yeah.
I needed that. I'm grateful for it. And I never declared bankruptcy. I paid all my debts, but I caused it. I took ownership of it. It's my life. And now, you know what? I want to help continue to engineer epiphanies with them. I got a kid that just moved from Chicago here to Iowa, and he's living in a shelter. And this kid was dealing drugs. He's but here, he took the profile. The kid is brilliant. He is brilliant. And so I'm helping him understand, look, you're going to get into every single situation and see that you're going to see all the problems before everybody else does. But here's the thing, Darius, you haven't earned the right to be the man yet. So he had an interview at Wendy's last week. I said, dude, you got to give me 6 months at Wendy's, Darius, and then we're going to hook you up, right? And then we're going to get going. You got to prove it. You got to just grind. And I know that any given moment, Darius could go back right now and he can make more money in 3 days, right? Or it's like that kid or that young lady in college who's, going on to get her master's, but is miserable, right? Because she hates feet and she's a podiatrist and she's going off to residency. I'm like, dude, let's get you. So I don't know. I ramble. I'm sorry, man, but I just love this, man. You get me in a zone where I'm able to talk about making a difference in people's lives. People are meant to be happy, right? We're meant to understand. Understanding precedes acceptance. And that's what's wrong with this world right now is we're being told, don't understand each other. Don't understand each other. Live in this world of gray and scaredness. No, man, we are all the same, just trying to figure who we are. And once we figure who we are, man, it's so much more liberating. And I'll tell you this, I'll shut up. Some people need to simplify their lives and have less expense. If you're meant to be an individual contributor for the rest of your life, God bless America, simplify your life so you can be an individual contributor. I may own the company, but I'm not the CEO president, man. I mean, I'm not the guy that holds people accountable. And I'm the most profitable individual contributor in our organization. That's what I do. And that's how I'm wired. I'm not meant to hold people accountable. I'm too nice. I will love you, hug you, enable you, and even reward you from not being good. So that's it.
That self-awareness piece is just so key, and hearing the stories and hearing the journey and what's possible from taking advantage of the tools that are out there. And as you said, it's not just a tool; it's whose hands the tool is in. So I want to just thank you in advance for all the people who are going to reach out to you, who are going to click your profile on LinkedIn, or who are going to head over to the results group and send you a message and get in contact. And that will start a journey of transformation for them. So I want to thank you in advance for following the calling and passion and leaning in and doing what you do. And thanks so much, Bryan, for being my guest today and hanging out.
Man, I cannot wait to see you again. I tell you what, I can't wait till we get back to doing this in person. We got 90 feet of whiteboard in our training room, and that's where the magic happens, man. So we did it all virtual. That's cool. But man, when you come back, you don't got to pay. You come to a certification one time, you never pay again. And yeah, we do 90 feet of whiteboard, and and we don't let more than 20 some people at a time come. And that's where the real epiphanies happen and the real work goes on, man. Those 2 days are blessed for us. So
you had me at whiteboard. Bryan, man, we gotta do this again soon. And really enjoyed it. And I know people who are watching got so much. I know we talked about assessments and DISC and values and attributes and all of that, and that's in there. But hearing the story of your passion and your journey, some huge takeaways for people who are watching live and even the replay of this. So yeah, man, we got to hang out real soon.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
All right. Take care, man.
Thank you.